I never believed in ghosts. Not when my grandmother told stories about spirits wandering through old houses, not when my friends claimed they had seen shadows moving at night, and certainly not when people on the internet shared creepy videos that looked fake. To me, ghosts were just stories. That belief lasted until the night I heard the first sound coming from my basement. I had just moved into the house 2 weeks earlier. It was an old place on the edge of town, built sometime in the 1940s. The real estate agent warned me that it was a little outdated, but the price was so cheap I couldn't say no. The house had everything I needed: 3 bedrooms, a small kitchen, a cozy living room, and a basement. At first, I liked the basement. It was large, dusty, and filled with old wooden shelves. Perfect for storage. The first week in the house was normal. Too normal. No strange sounds, no flickering lights, no creepy feelings. But on the 8th night, everything changed. It was around 2:30 in the morning when I woke up. At first, I didn't know why. The house was silent. Then I heard it. A slow, dragging sound. Scrrrrrrrape. It was faint, but unmistakable. The sound was coming from downstairs. From the basement. I sat up in bed and listened carefully. Maybe it was just the pipes. Old houses make strange noises all the time. But then the sound came again. Scrrrrrrape. Like something heavy being dragged across the floor. My heart started beating faster. I grabbed my phone and turned on the flashlight. The hallway outside my bedroom was dark. Too dark. The kind of darkness that makes your imagination start working. Relax, I whispered to myself. It's probably nothing. I slowly walked down the hallway. Each step felt louder than it should. The wooden floor creaked beneath my feet. Creak, creak, creak. When I reached the living room, the sound stopped. Completely. The house was silent again. For a moment, I felt relieved. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I was still half asleep. Then I saw something that made my stomach drop. The basement door was open. Just a little. When I went to bed earlier, I was sure it had been closed. I stood there for a moment, staring at the dark opening. Cold air drifted up from the basement stairs. It smelled damp, old, like dirt and mold. My phone flashlight barely reached the bottom of the stairs. Hello, I called out. No answer. Of course there wasn't. Why would there be? Still, something felt wrong. Very wrong. I slowly stepped toward the door. Every instinct in my body told me to go back to bed. But curiosity is a powerful thing. I opened the basement door a little more. The stairs creaked as I stepped down. The temperature dropped with each step. Halfway down the staircase, the smell grew stronger. It smelled like wet earth. Like a grave. I tried not to think about that. When I reached the bottom step, I pointed my flashlight around the basement. Everything looked the same as before. Old shelves. Dusty boxes. Cobwebs in the corners. Nothing had moved. Nothing looked out of place. I let out a nervous laugh. See, I whispered. Nothing. Then the light from my phone hit something on the floor. A long scratch mark. Fresh. It stretched across the concrete floor, like something heavy had been dragged. My heart skipped a beat. That mark definitely wasn't there before. I walked closer. The scratch mark led to the far corner of the basement. A place I hadn't really explored yet. The beam of my flashlight moved slowly across the wall. That's when I noticed the door. A small wooden door built into the concrete wall. I was sure it hadn't been there before. Or maybe I just hadn't seen it. The door looked ancient. The wood was cracked and dark. Rusty hinges hung loosely on the side. Something about it made my skin crawl. I stepped closer. And then I heard something behind it. A faint whisper. At first, I thought it was just the wind. But then it happened again. A voice. Soft. Broken. Almost like someone who hadn't spoken in a very long time. Hello. I froze. My entire body went cold. The voice came again. This time clearer. Hello, is someone there? My mind raced. There was no way someone could be behind that door. This basement had been sealed for years before I bought the house. But the voice sounded real. Very real. Who's there? I asked. For a moment, there was silence. Then the voice answered. I've been waiting. My throat felt dry. Waiting for what? I asked. The whisper turned into a quiet laugh. A slow, terrible laugh. Waiting for you. My hand started shaking as I held the flashlight. Something inside that room moved. I heard the dragging sound again. Scrrrrrrrape. Something was coming closer to the door. Very slowly. My instinct screamed at me to run. But I couldn't move. I stared at the door as the handle slowly turned. The old metal knob twisted with a soft clicking sound. Click, click. The door began to open. Just a crack, and from the darkness inside, something pale appeared. A hand. Thin. Gray. The skin looked stretched tight over bone. The fingers were far too long. They slowly wrapped around the edge of the door. Then the whisper came again. Right next to my ear. "Thank you, for letting me out." I spun around instantly. But there was no one behind me. When I turned back toward the door, the hand was gone. The door was closed. The basement was silent. For a long moment, I just stood there, trying to breathe. Maybe I imagined it. Maybe I was dreaming. Maybe stress from moving into the new house was messing with my head. I slowly backed away from the door. Then I turned and hurried up the basement stairs. I slammed the basement door shut and locked it. That night, I didn't sleep. But around 4 o'clock in the morning, I heard footsteps in the hallway outside my bedroom. Slow, dragging footsteps. And then something scratched softly on my door. Scratch, scratch, scratch. A familiar whisper came from the other side. "Why did you lock me in?" The scratching on my bedroom door stopped. But the silence that followed felt even worse. I sat frozen on my bed, staring at the door while my heart pounded so loudly I was sure whoever, or whatever, was outside could hear it. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then the whisper came again. Soft, cold, right through the wood of the door. "Why did you lock me in?" My throat tightened. That was the same voice I had heard in the basement. But that made no sense. I had locked the basement door. No one could have come upstairs. Unless, I forced the thought out of my mind. "This isn't real," I whispered to myself. "It's just a dream." But dreams don't make the floor creak. And just then, creak. A slow footstep sounded in the hallway. Then another. Creak. The thing outside my room was walking. Slowly pacing the hallway. Back and forth. Like it was waiting. Watching. Listening. I grabbed my phone and turned the flashlight on again. The small beam of light pointed directly at my bedroom door. Nothing moved. But I could feel it there. Just on the other side. Then something touched the doorknob. Clink. The metal handle moved slightly. I held my breath. Clink. The handle twisted again. Slowly. Very slowly. Luckily, I had locked it. The handle stopped moving. For a moment I felt relief. Then the whisper came again. But this time, it sounded different. Closer. Too close. "Locks don't keep me out." Something tapped lightly on the door. Tap, tap, tap. Like long fingernails. Then suddenly, bang, the door shook violently. I jumped off the bed in shock. Another loud hit slammed into the door. Bang, the wood rattled against the frame. Dust fell from the ceiling. My phone slipped slightly in my hand as fear rushed through my body. Whatever was outside my room was trying to get in. Bang, another strike. The door groaned under the force. I backed away slowly until my legs hit the wall behind me. "Stop," I shouted. The banging stopped instantly. The hallway became silent again. Too silent. I waited. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Nothing happened. Finally, I gathered enough courage to walk closer to the door. My hands were shaking. My mind kept repeating the same question. What if it's gone? Or worse, what if it's still there? I slowly bent down and looked through the small gap under the door. The hallway was dark, but my phone light showed part of the floor outside. And that's when I saw it. Bare feet. Gray. Motionless. Standing directly outside my door. My breath caught in my throat. The feet didn't move, but slowly, very slowly, a long shadow bent downward toward the crack under the door. Like someone crouching, trying to look inside. Then a pale finger slid under the door. Thin. Too thin. The nail was long and black. It scratched slowly across the floor. Scrrrt. My entire body froze. Then the whisper returned. Soft. Excited. "I found you." I stumbled backward in terror. My mind screamed for me to run. But there was nowhere to go. The window behind me was too small to escape. And the only exit was the door. The door that thing was standing behind. Then something strange happened. The finger under the door suddenly pulled back. The feet disappeared. And the hallway went silent again. For a moment, I thought it had finally left. But then I heard something else. From downstairs, the basement door creaked open. Very slowly. Eek. My stomach dropped. That door had been locked. I ran to the hallway window and looked outside. The sky was turning slightly gray. Dawn was coming, and suddenly everything felt different. The house no longer felt like mine. It felt like something else had claimed it. Then a voice spoke from the bottom of the stairs. Clearer than before, no longer just a whisper. You shouldn't have opened that door. I slowly stepped into the hallway. The staircase leading down to the living room was dark, but I could see something standing at the bottom. Tall, very thin, its head tilted sideways, watching me. The pale shape didn't move, but I knew it was staring at me. Then it began climbing the stairs. One step, then another. Each step made the same terrible dragging sound I heard earlier. Scrape, step, scrape, step. I turned and ran back into my bedroom. I slammed the door shut. The footsteps kept coming closer. Scrape, step, scrape, step. Then they stopped, right outside my room. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the whisper came again. But this time it sounded almost happy. You let me out. The doorknob slowly began to turn. And this time, the lock started to break. Crack, crack. The lock on my bedroom door split with a sharp sound. I stared at the handle as it slowly twisted. My heart felt like it was about to explode. The door creaked open just an inch. Cold air slipped into the room. I stepped back, barely breathing. For a moment, nothing entered. Then the door slowly opened wider. The hallway outside was dark, but a tall shape stood there. Too tall. Its head almost touched the top of the doorframe. The creature moved forward slightly, and the pale light from my phone revealed its face, or at least what used to be a face. Its skin was gray and stretched tight across its skull. Its eyes were completely black, and its mouth hung open unnaturally wide, like it had forgotten how to close it. I couldn't move. My body refused to respond. The thing tilted its head slowly, studying me. Then it spoke, but this time the voice sounded deeper. Older. You shouldn't have opened the basement door. My voice shook as I answered. I didn't open anything. The creature smiled. Or at least it tried to. The corners of its mouth pulled upward, but the expression looked wrong, broken. You did. It stepped into the room. Scrape, step, scrape, step. Every movement made that same terrible dragging sound. Like something heavy was being pulled across the floor. People always open it, the creature whispered. They always do. I backed away until I hit the wall. What are you? I asked. The creature stopped moving. Its head turned slowly toward the hallway behind it, as if listening to something far away. Then it looked back at me. I was someone. The answer made my stomach twist. Was. The creature nodded slowly. Yes. For the first time, I noticed something strange about its arms. Its wrists were covered with dark marks. Deep scars. Like rope burns. Then it spoke again. This house used to belong to a man. I swallowed hard. What man? The creature's black eyes seemed to grow darker. A very cruel man. The room suddenly felt colder. He lived here many years ago, the creature continued. And he liked to keep secrets. The creature pointed slowly toward the floor. Toward the basement. One of those secrets was me. A horrible feeling spread through my chest. What do you mean? The creature stepped closer. I was locked in that basement. My heart skipped a beat. Why? The creature's smile disappeared. Because I knew the truth. The silence that followed was unbearable. Then the creature whispered something that made my blood run cold. He buried people there. My mind raced. Buried people. The creature nodded slowly. Under the basement floor. A sudden memory flashed in my mind. The smell in the basement. Wet earth. Like a grave. That man killed them, the creature continued. And when I found out, he locked me down there. My throat tightened. You mean he? Yes. The creature's voice dropped to a whisper. He left me there to die. The words hung in the air like a dark cloud. I didn't know what to say. For a moment, the creature just stood there. Then it looked directly into my eyes. And now, it said quietly. I'm free. My heart pounded harder. What do you want from me? The creature took another slow step closer. Its face was now only a few feet away. I want what was taken from me. And what's that? The creature's mouth stretched into that terrible smile again. Justice. Suddenly. Bang. A loud sound came from downstairs. Both of us froze. Another loud crash echoed through the house. Bang. It sounded like something heavy falling. The creature slowly turned its head toward the stairs. Then it whispered something that made my stomach drop. "He's awake." Fear rushed through my body. "Who?" The creature didn't answer immediately. Instead, it looked toward the basement. Then back at me. "The man who did this." My mind struggled to understand. "That was decades ago," I said. "He must be dead." The creature shook its head slowly. "No." Then it whispered something even worse. "He never left this house." At that moment, a deep voice echoed up from the basement. A voice filled with anger. "Who opened the door?" The creature's black eyes widened. Then it looked back at me. "You need to run." "Why?" Before the creature could answer, the basement stairs shook with heavy footsteps. Thud. 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 Something much bigger was coming up from below. The creature stepped backward toward the window. "You woke him." Fear gripped my chest. "Woke who?" The creature's voice dropped to a terrified whisper. "The one who locked me down there." The footsteps reached the top of the basement stairs. And then the house went completely silent. For a moment, nothing moved. Then a massive shadow stretched across the hallway wall. And a deep voice growled from the darkness. "I told you, never to open that door." "I told you, never to open that door." The voice from the hallway was deep and heavy, like thunder rumbling through the house. Every muscle in my body froze. The creature standing in my room turned slowly toward the door. For the first time since I had seen it, fear appeared on its face. Real fear. The shadow in the hallway grew larger. Then a figure stepped into the dim light. He was huge, easily over 6 feet tall, with wide shoulders and a thick frame. But something about him looked wrong. Very wrong. His clothes were old, decades old, covered in dirt and dark stains. His skin was pale, almost gray, like someone who had not seen sunlight in a very long time. But the most terrifying thing was his eyes. They were completely white. No pupils. No color. Just blank white staring into the room. My heart nearly stopped. The creature beside the window whispered, "That's him." My voice barely came out. "The man who locked you in the basement." The creature nodded slowly. The tall man took one heavy step into the hallway. Thud. The floorboards groaned under his weight. "You shouldn't have come back," the man said in a cold voice. His blank eyes locked onto the creature. The creature backed away slowly. "You thought you could keep me there forever," it said. The man's lips twisted into a cruel smile. "I did." Then his head turned toward me. Slowly. His white eyes stared straight into mine. "And you," he said. "You opened the door." A wave of fear crashed over me. "I didn't know," I stammered. The man laughed quietly. "They never know." He took another step forward. Thud. The temperature in the room dropped suddenly. The lights flickered. The creature moved closer to me. "You need to leave," it whispered. "He can't follow you if you leave the house." I nodded quickly. But the man spoke again. "Oh, he's not leaving." My stomach twisted. "Why not?" I asked. The man's smile widened. "Because no one leaves this house." Suddenly the bedroom door slammed shut behind him. Bang! The sound echoed through the house. I jumped in shock. The creature moved quickly now. "Run to the window," it shouted. I rushed toward the window. But when I tried to open it, it wouldn't move. The frame felt stuck, like something was holding it shut from the outside. The man laughed again. "Did you really think it would be that easy?" He walked slowly into the room. Each step was heavy. Thud, thud, thud. The creature stepped in front of me, protecting me. "You can't keep doing this," it said angrily. The man tilted his head slightly. "I already did." The creature pointed toward the basement. "They know now." The man's smile slowly faded. For the first time, anger appeared on his face. "They will never believe you," he said. "They always think ghosts are just stories." The creature's voice grew stronger. But he saw the basement. The man's white eyes snapped toward me again. "You went down there." I hesitated. But the answer was obvious. "Yes." The man stood perfectly still. Then he sighed slowly. "Well, that's unfortunate." Before I could react, he moved. Faster than anything I had ever seen. In 1 second he was across the room. His hand grabbed my throat and lifted me off the ground. I gasped for air. His grip was like iron. "You should have minded your own business," he growled. The creature screamed, "Stop." It rushed forward and grabbed the man's arm. For a moment, the man actually struggled. The creature was stronger than I expected. The two of them crashed into the wall. Bang! The room shook. I fell to the floor, coughing for air. The man roared with anger. "You were supposed to stay buried." He grabbed the creature by the neck and slammed it into the wall. Crack! The sound was horrible. The creature fell to the ground, barely moving. My heart raced. "No!" I shouted. The man turned toward me again. Now he looked furious. "You should have stayed asleep," he said. Then he started walking toward me again. Slowly. Thud, thud, thud. I looked around desperately for something, anything, to defend myself. That's when I noticed something on the floor. A small rusty key. The same key I had used earlier to lock the basement door. My mind raced. Maybe that door wasn't meant to keep the ghost inside. Maybe it was meant to keep something else locked away. The man reached toward me again. But before he could grab me, I ran past him, straight toward the hallway, straight toward the basement stairs. Behind me, the man shouted in rage. "Don't you dare!" I didn't stop. I ran down the stairs as fast as I could, my heart pounding louder than the footsteps behind me. The basement door stood wide open. Darkness waited below, and as I reached the top step, I heard the creature whisper weakly from upstairs. "Lock him in." My hand tightened around the key. The heavy footsteps behind me grew louder. Thud, thud, thud. I took a deep breath,